Matt Gaetz calls out the Biden family corruption. We have all the updates regarding the Trump mar-a-lago raid. Also, schools are doing away with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Joe Biden has another gaffe. All that and more here on The Paul Brad Show. Good morning and welcome to the Bald Brad channel. Folks, before we jump into the news and the podcast, I do want to answer a very important question that I'm getting from a lot of viewers, a lot of subscribers, and a lot of true American patriots. Many of you asked how you could support the show, and I'm going to give you the same answer that honestly I tell my friends and family. Just watch the episodes. Watch it all the way through. Some of my friends already know my viewpoints. They already know what I'm going to say. So I just tell them, put it on mute. Just walk away if you have to. It really does tremendously help the show out. If you click on the videos, if you watch them, if you hit that like button and leave a comment down below. YouTube is capturing everything that you do, from how long you're watching each video to when you see my thumbnail, are you actually clicking on it? It's gathering all that data, and it's basically saying, hey, people are watching this, people are clicking on it. Let's send it out to more people, because now we can create more ad revenue for YouTube and the Bald Brad Show, so everybody kind of benefits with it. So if you just watch it all the way through, don't kind of skip, watch all the ads, hit the like button, comment, you would be helping the show more than you even know. So I ask all of you to support that way. Obviously, there's the money aspect of donating and all those things, but more importantly, just watch the show. If you're not interested in that segment or that clip, you already watched the episode, but you saw all the other videos we're posting, throw it on mute, walk away for a bit, make some dinner, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do. It still supports the show, folks. All your help and support would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, many of you saw there was no episode the other day. You might be going, what the heck happened? Where was the Bald Brad Show? I woke up early for this damn thing and the man didn't upload. Well, it partially wasn't my fault and it kind of was at the same time. Many of you know that this show takes a long time to prepare. I do everything myself. I work multiple jobs, and a 45-minute podcast obviously takes longer than 45 minutes to record. You got to do all the preparation. You got to do the recording itself, and then you got to edit the darn thing, which again, I do all by myself. So I come in the other day after preparing a whole show, whole podcast, record the thing, go in to edit it, and no audio. The mic wasn't picking up what I was saying. Although down below here on my board, it shows that it was recording. On my recording system, it shows that it was recording. Wasn't recording. So we did a 45-minute podcast the other day. We had no audio, so there is footage of it. There was just nothing on the back end. And is that demoralizing? Oh, 100%. You put in all that effort and nothing comes about, nothing comes to fruition from it. So I want to apologize to all of you. We obviously have it all sorted out here. It was hitting my head against the wall because I don't touch any of my settings. Nobody's allowed to come in here and touch the settings or the computer because they know that it's sensitive. What I think happened was there was an update on the computer itself. It updates automatically. And I think that triggered something and maybe moved some files around that basically stopped it from actually capturing my audio. I know there was an update because I looked at it, but all be said, we got it figured out. We got it fixed here, folks. So we are back here Friday, August 12th, to bring you another episode of the Bald Brad Show. If you want to join us here, and heck, we hope that you do, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're over at Rumble, hit the plus and give us a comment down below. And if you're listening on any of the podcast airwaves, Apple, Spotify, Google, folks, we are freaking everywhere. Leave us a lovely 5-star review. Another way you can help and support the channel. Not only would you be helping conservative, but most importantly, like we've said, and we need it more than ever, you'd be supporting getting conservative thought and ideas out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So your help and support would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, all sorts of news to cover here. We got news from the other day. We got news before Trump ever was raided by the FBI. We have Matt Gaetz going at it with the DOJ regarding the Biden family's corruption. We got Merrick Garland saying, yeah, hey, I authorized the thing personally. That's why we all went in. You got Trump responding to it. You got a school district in North Dakota, I believe, not even doing the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. And then we wonder why our country's degrading. Then we wonder why our social fabric is tearing. And then last, we got Joe Biden doing another gaffe. I mean, we got all sorts of stuff today, folks. We are jam-packed here on this Friday episode. Can't wait for you all to join us. Our lead story of the day, as I stated, is regarding the great Matt Gaetz going at it in this clip with a DOJ official. You know how I said the other day that Karine Jean-Pierre had a very smug look on her face, acting like she doesn't care with Peter Doocy's questions, just doesn't care, You really get this vibe from this individual here, not this lady, but you'll see the guy in a second, from the DOJ. I would like to point out, and it's an important point, that the conversation that's being had here happened about 9 to 13 days before Trump was ever raided. And just look at the smugness this guy does, the lack of answering the question, or in other words, refusing to answer any of the questions. It's so disgusting how politicized everything is, and the DOJ itself. Let's go ahead and roll it.
There is a secret workspace at the Perkins law firm that is maintained by the Department of Justice. Has any information flowed through that secret workspace to the National Security Division?
I'm not familiar with the premise of your question. In other words, I'm not familiar with the facts that you've asserted in your question.
So you're not aware of the workspace that the Department of Justice maintains at the Perkins law firm?
Correct.
And you can't tell me whether or not the National Security Division has ever received information that has flown through the law firm that is functionally the legal wing of the Democratic Party?
Correct.
And I just keep going back to the plausible deniability from the Biden family. And speaking of the Biden family, since our last conversation, Mr. Olson, a remarkable piece came out in Fox News entitled "Joe Biden Met with at least 14 of Hunter's business associates while vice president." Now, I know that you're not going to answer any questions about Hunter Biden with the ongoing investigation.
Where's the raid? Where's all the investigations? Where are they going into Biden's house, Hunter Biden's house, all the Biden's houses? Not going to find it, folks, because they don't care. It's the Biden family. Why would they care? They only want to go after Trump because he's orange bad man Trump. Unbelievable.
An answer that you've given me previously, but is Joe Biden compromised?
So I should be clear, I'm not going to comment on that question because I do not comment on any matter that may or may not be a matter of investigation to the extent
What kind of answer is that? I mean, in a nutshell, you just said, I'm just not going to answer any of your questions. Well, I'm not going to answer anything that may or may not be out there under the sun that we might be investigating. What? Is anybody just baffled on that answer that he just gave? We're going to replay it because what?
I'm not going to comment on that question because I do not comment on any matter that may or may not be a matter of investigation. To the extent my comments previously were construed as confirming an investigation, that would be a mistake.
Well,
I'm neither confirming an investigation nor am I denying an investigation. I'm simply saying I am not commenting on any potential investigation.
Do you think the American people deserve to know whether or not the First Family is compromised?
We speak through our filings in court at the Justice Department. We do not make allegations without going to court.
That because yesterday you all spoke through some leaks, right? I mean, recently you had Lester Holt interviewing Attorney General Garland, and Lester Holt asked him a lot of questions about whether or not President Trump was being investigated for January 6th. And just like you, A.G. Garland was, repeating the premises of prosecutorial pathways, and then lo and behold, the same day
Again, folks, this is all happening before Trump was ever raided by the FBI. So you have these conversations about January 6th going on that Matt Gaetz is talking about. This is why I'm starting with this, and then we're going to roll into the actual talking of the updates of the raid itself and Merrick Garland coming out saying he authorized it. Because I think there's something fishy going on, a little bit of corruption happening in the Biden administration and the Attorney General and the DOJ and the FBI here. And Matt Gaetz is calling out a little bit of the BS that's going on in real time before this ever took place. So that's why this is so important.
The Department of Justice didn't speak through any filings. They went and leaked to the Washington Post that they were investigating President Trump. So it seems like when it's the Biden family, you all are all buttoned up with all of your propriety about not talking about these things. But when it's a Republican, when it's President Trump, you all love to go have your authorized leaks. Here's my question to you. Are you aware of an authorized leak to the Washington Post the same day as A.G. Garland sat down with Lester Holt?
No.
And you think, as you sit here as the representative of the National Security Division before the House Judiciary Committee, that we aren't owed an answer as to whether or not the Biden family is compromised? You just don't think we deserve that?
We speak through our filings in court. That's part of the rule of law. It's designed to protect.
The guy's a broken record. He's a freaking puppet, folks. Like you're pulling a string behind him. We speak through our court filings. It's like, it's corrupt. This is all freaking corrupt. I get that you can't answer some questions, but to put on this show here and you're just going to repeat the same exact thing verbatim over and over again, doesn't help your cause by making it seem like you're not biased or anything like that.
The rights of anyone who may be accused, and it's designed to protect the integrity of the investigation. It's a central pillar of the Justice Department.
It's one you violate all the time. I mean, even Mr. Horowitz, the Obama-appointed Inspector General, has given us report after report of where Department of Justice employees are off getting tickets to baseball games and fancy dinners with the reporters in exchange for giving them information. So can you at least acknowledge that you don't live up to that pillar with great precision?
We speak through what we say in court. We protect the integrity of our investigation.
Speak through what you say in court, what you say to the Washington Post, what Jim Comey leaks to his professor buddy, what's kind of said between people at a baseball game where you guys are getting special treats and special treatment from the media. I mean, and so you see the political bias. We are living in a time where the American people have the lowest perception and belief in the integrity of the Justice Department since your inception. And it's not because we're asking tough questions. It's because you sit here and stonewall us and don't give us answers. I mean, just in this series of questions, you won't tell me whether or not our own government was out there trying to operate through a cutout to buy software that spies on Americans illegally and improperly. You won't tell me whether or not the legal wing of the Democratic Party was passing you information that was actually opposition research, then to be recategorized and repackaged as national security information. And you won't tell me whether the President of the United States is compromised when we know he's lying. I mean, like Joe Biden came out and said repeatedly that he never talked to Hunter Biden about business. And here you have 14 documented meetings. So are you guys ever going to investigate this, or is it just going to be what Mr. Thibault said, what Mr. Grassley said, and that is that you guys are basically political shills? I mean, look, this is what Mr. Grassley said. If these allegations are true and accurate, the Justice Department and FBI are and have been institutionally corrupted to their very core, to the point at which the United States Congress and the American people will have no confidence in the equal application of the law. Can't you see that's what your behavior is continuing to just metastasize?
So we don't conduct our investigations in public.
Yeah, you leak them. That's what you do.
And we take
you leak them to try to smear people.
The gentleman's time has expired. You may answer the question.
We take care that the assertions we make about facts are based on facts and evidence and are not reckless and false.
Really? Because if you look at the whole James Comey, the former FBI director that was let go under the Trump administration, and the whole Hillary Clinton server, that she knew that she wasn't supposed to be doing that, but he recommended, well, we're not going to prosecute it because it's never really happened before, and it was kind of just that empathy. So don't give me this crap, this BS stuff that this guy's saying. Just the smug look, the puppeting that's going on, the charades that's happening, the freaking clown show that's taking place from this administration and the DOJ is out of control. And then they can't fathom why nobody has faith in them. They can't fathom why America in general has no faith in our justice system in this present moment in time, because you got guys like this going, well, I can't answer any question that may or may not come to me, or I can't answer any question that's about an investigation that may or may not be happening, or I can't answer that, but we got faith in our rule of law that comes out through our court documents. It's like, whatever, man, whatever.
Well,
that is the way.
This isn't false. This isn't reckless, and you're just choosing not to investigate it because it's the Bidens.
100%
Take care to
correct.
make sure that our assertions and we make in court are based on the facts and the truth, and in the pursuit of justice, that's our solemn obligation. And that's one that I'm
plausible deniability.
Plausible
deniability. That's just over and over. You and the Bidens.
Olson, please turn your mic.
Basing our investigations on the facts and the law in the pursuit of justice is our solemn obligation. It's one I take seriously, and it's one I have taken seriously for over 20 years. And I continue to oversee the National Security Division that we will continue to do.
Yeah. Let me know in the comments down below. Like we talked about, if you want to support the show, it really does help when we interact together. And obviously, I read all the comments that are down below as well. Some of you guys say some outlandish things. I don't delete them. The only ones I deleted are those random like porn links that freaking people post in like Spanish and like other languages. Those are the only ones that get deleted by me if I see them. Report those if you see them, by the way. Let me know. Do you believe in this guy? Do you believe in what he is saying? Because I sure in hell don't. Look, I haven't believed really in the FBI and the justice system and the IRS since the Obama administration, just the corruption that's happened through them. There's a lot of shady and wacky things that our government has been doing. But at the same time, don't worry, folks. The Democrat Party wants you to not have weapons to protect yourselves. So when they come and raid you and do all these crazy ass things later on in the future, when they disarm the entire United States, hey, you can't defend yourself against a government that goes usurpacious. But the Democrats don't see that. They don't understand that, especially, which is mind-boggling with what's going on with the Trump raid, which leads us into our next story of the day. We got a clip here regarding AG Merrick Garland breaking silence on why the FBI raided Trump's house. Let's see what this gentleman has to say. I guarantee he's going to read from a teleprompter, and it's going to be some bogus stuff. He's going to be lying in some way, shape, or form. I guarantee you. Let's go ahead and see it.
Good afternoon. Since I became Attorney General, I have made clear that the Department of Justice will speak through its court filings and its work.
Where did we hear that? Oh, just in the other segment from the other DOJ, that DOJ individual is being puppeted around like a string. So here's another string, here's another puppet repeating the same thing.
Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week. That search was of premises located in Florida belonging to the former president. The department did not make any public statements on the day of the search. The former president publicly confirmed the search that evening, as is his right. Copies of both the warrant and the FBI property receipt were provided on the day of the search to the former president's counsel, who was on site during the search.
But he's not going to point out the fact that they told him to take a hike and get the hell out of there. He's not going to point that out because it's going to make him look real bad. But the FBI told Trump's lawyers, get the hell out of here. Oh, and by the way, they told him to turn off all the security cameras that were in the area as well. Not going to mention that here because we want to make him look good in the rest of the Biden administration and the Department of Justice.
The search warrant was authorized by a federal court upon the required finding of probable cause. The property receipt is a document that federal law requires law enforcement agents to leave with the property owner. The department filed the motion to make public the warrant and receipt in light of the former president's public confirmation of the search, the surrounding circumstances, and the substantial public interest in this matter. Faithful adherence.
I hope he gets to the point where he talks about that substantial point, because a lot of times, going back just when I was auditing, we looked at certain type of materiality above a certain threshold, above a certain level. And I'm imagining that's what he's talking about here in terms of what they're looking for. They're looking for something that was really material, something that was really, really bad. It better have been really, really bad for you to do this type of shit. Just saying.
The rule of law is the bedrock principle of the Justice Department and of our democracy. Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly, without fear or favor. Under my watch, that is precisely what the Justice Department is doing.
Are you serious? Come on. Let me know. Does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe this puppet? Evenly. Look, it doesn't take a genius to look at what this country has done. The Democrat Party, the progressive left, the DOJ, the FBI, all these institutions targeting Donald Trump ever since he went down the escalator. You're telling me that it's equal playing field? When you look at Hillary Clinton, you look at Barack Obama, you look at Eric Holder, you look at Hunter Biden, and you're going to tell me that it's an even playing field, that there is, I can go on raging, folks. We can go on ranting. I want to hear what he has to say, but let me know, do you believe in this guy? What a statement.
All Americans are entitled to the even-handed application of the law, to due process of the law, and to the presumption of innocence. Much of our work is by necessity conducted out of the public eye. We do that to protect the constitutional rights of all Americans and to protect the integrity of our investigations. Federal law, long-standing department rules, and our ethical obligations prevent me from providing further details as to the basis of the search at this time.
That's why that Matt Gaetz video was so important and what he was talking about 2 weeks before this specific video dropped, before the raid ever took place, of Merrick Garland having conversation with reporters, having FBI agents meeting with reporters at baseball games and doing other these shenanigans, leaking information to the press. But hey, integrity here, folks. Integrity. They do everything outside of the public purview, outside of public eye, so you don't see it. You don't know what's going on, but we're going to still leak it to everybody. Unbelievable.
There are, however, certain points I want you to know. First, I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly. Where possible, it is standard practice to seek less intrusive means as an alternative to a search and to narrowly scope any search that is undertaken. Third.
What a statement. Literally, Trump's lawyers, Trump himself, and everybody around Trump saying, yeah, we were working with you guys. That's less intrusive. He was working with you, and you decide to go raid him. So what the hell are you talking about, Merrick Garland?
Let me address recent unfounded attacks on the professionalism of the FBI and Justice Department agents and prosecutors. I will not stand by silently when their integrity is unfairly attacked. The men and women of the FBI and the Justice Department are dedicated, patriotic public servants. Every day, they protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, and other threats to their safety while safeguarding our civil rights. They do so at great personal sacrifice and risk to themselves. I am honored to work alongside them.
Well, you made them look very bad. And I do agree with what he said. It's the same scenario, right, folks, where you have a bunch of bad cops doing a very bad thing, right, to any individual. And then you have Black Lives Matter, Democrat Party, progressive left, oh, all cops are bad. We don't want to portray that same thing here on the Bald Brad Show. I agree with what he said. There's a lot of great FBI agents, really great FBI agents. I used to be in a small group Bible study with FBI agents when I lived in Washington, D.C. Agree with that statement, but you're making them look like shit right now, man, with what you did. And now you're coming out, at least you have the cojones to say, I'm the one that authorized this thing, so at least we have somebody to blame, which, quite frankly, we already kind of figured that it was going to be you because of the whole January 6th debacle that people are saying you're kind of a pussy and they aren't going to do something. So now you're doing this. Not only did you make yourself look bad, not only did you make the Department of Justice look bad, not only did you make the Biden administration look bad, but you also made the FBI look bad, of which there are patriots within the FBI. There are those that sacrifice their life and do amazing things, and you just made them look like a bunch of knuckleheads.
This is all I can say right now. More information will be made available in the appropriate way and at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Attorney General, the former president said this
FBI agents. Thank you all for your questions. But as I said, this is all I can say at this time.
It's like a doctor giving like somebody just died. Just all the news I can give you. I'm sorry. It's just terrible. Like it's like something just happened. So there you have Merrick Garland, not really giving us much other than saying, hey, you know what? Don't blame everybody. Maybe I'm the guy that you need to blame here and point all the fingers at. So President Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland announced Thursday afternoon that he personally approved the FBI search warrant at the home of former President Donald Trump this week, and that the department has moved to unseal the search warrant, showing up more than 30 minutes late. Garland did not answer any questions and gave very little information. It's like a typical thing for the Biden administration, any official that's connected to him, just to show up late to things. I mean, Biden's been known to show up just hours late to meetings. I'm sure Trump did the same thing. I don't like that. I think people's time is precious. You should respect their time. We only have so much time on this planet, and you're kind of going to be an a-hole and just show up late. So there's already one knock amongst others on Merrick Garland already. The announcement comes after federal law enforcement officials raided Trump's Florida residence at Mar-a-Lago Monday morning to retrieve documents related to the National Archives, which is unprecedented, by the way, folks. Jimmy Carter had documents. Every president has done this, and they're losing their crap over it. Newsweek reported the FBI specifically targeted 3 rooms at the residence, a bedroom, an office, and a storage room, and that the information used to obtain the warrant was based largely on information from an FBI confidential human source. God, I'd love to know who that was. The report said that the confidential informant told the Bureau what documents were taken and where the documents were located. The report said that the federal officials waited until Trump was out of state to execute the search warrant at the property because they wanted to be as low-key as possible. Agents were reportedly at the property the entire day and were dressed in plain clothes, leading staff to believe they were U.S. Secret Service agents, which is why news of the executed search warrant did not leak. I'd also like to point out, it almost seems like they were just running on an affidavit of like, hey, this is what I saw, this is what it is, and you went with a search warrant. Do you know how many affidavits we had on the election integrity of people getting multiple ballots, dead people voting? Nothing. Nothing from the Department of Justice. Nothing from the FBI. Nothing from any administration about going in and doing certain searches and seizing certain documents. Nothing. It was just, oh, you're a bunch of crazy people. This never happened. All the while, you have Steven Crowder from Blaze Media going out and saying, hey, this person voted. There's no property here. How'd they vote? It's literally dirt. There's nothing here. It's called a desert. There's no building in sight. How the hell did somebody vote from this address? There is no building. Who lives here? Happened countless times all over America. Don't even get me started about the dead people that voted. But, hey, one guy squeals a little bit. Donald Trump has some stuff hidden in freaking Melania's underwear drawer, and they're going to go through her personal items. Freaking ridiculous. The report said that the federal officials waited until Trump was out of state to execute the search warrant, which they did. What a spectacular backfire, a DOJ official told the publication. I know that there's much speculation out there that this is a political persecution, but it really is the best and worst of the bureaucracy in action. They wanted to punctuate the fact that this was a routine law enforcement action stripped of any political overtones, and yet they got exactly the opposite. I mean, they got the opposite, but also what this person's saying is kind of wrong here in terms of what the FBI did, because they decided to go in with just regular clothes, making it seem they were Secret Service agents to the staff. So it was already kind of oddball and kind of weird. Wouldn't you have on your FBI jacket that we see in all of Hollywood? Unless that's not a real thing. If anybody's an FBI agent, actually, I should call my buddy that works for the government. We'll keep it as that to kind of see if that's normal, that you have to kind of wear the colors, meaning kind of the insignia of the FBI showing that you are the FBI. Furthermore, we got Trump responding on this. Former President Donald Trump responded to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland's press conference Thursday afternoon by saying that the FBI raid on his property in Florida was not needed because his legal team had been cooperating with the Justice Department, which is what we said. Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week at Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. As you heard, he did personally approve of it. Furthermore, we also have this statement from Trump. My attorneys and representatives were cooperating fully, and very good relationships had been established. I was even hearing that they were having lunch with all these people. So, the cooperation seemed to be there. I mean, enough to hell, we'll take you out to lunch. We'll have conversations about it. Let's move forward. Let's figure this out. And then he gets raided. The government could have had whatever they wanted if we had it. They asked us to put an additional lock on a certain area. Done. Everything was fine. Better than that of most previous presidents. And then out of nowhere and with no warning, Mar-a-Lago was raided at 6:30 in the morning by a very large number of agents and even safecrackers. They got way ahead of themselves crazy. Just learned that agents went through the First Lady's closets and rummaged through her clothing and personal items, which is why I made that joke about having documents in her underwear drawer. Just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous from the FBI. Furthermore, we have breaking news that federal law enforcement officials were allegedly searching for highly classified documents on nuclear weapons when they raided former President Donald Trump's home in Florida earlier this week, according to a report. The Washington Post claimed in a report that those familiar with the matter did not offer any specific details on whether they alleged documents on nuclear weapons were about weapons that were possessed by the United States or a foreign nation, and they did not disclose that was recovered during the search. So it almost sounds like that answer that we saw in that one segment with Matt Gaetz and that DOJ official of, well, I can't comment on if it's real or if it's not real or if it exists or doesn't exist. It's like, who the hell answers questions like that? And two, you just say that you have no comment. You don't know. You can't talk about it. So it's just a weird way of answering questions. If that is true, it would suggest that material residing unlawfully at Mar-a-Lago may have been classified at the highest classification level, said David Loffman, the former chief of the Justice Department's counterintelligence section, which investigates leaks of classified information. Quote, if the FBI and Department of Justice believed there were top secret materials still at Mar-a-Lago, that would lend itself to greater hair on fire motivation to recover that material as quickly as possible. Investigators reportedly recovered classified material, some of which was labeled top secret. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said during a press conference Thursday afternoon that he personally approved of the warrant himself. And then the rest of the article kind of goes through what we just backlogged in terms of the speech that Merrick Garland gave, and then Trump's comments to the whole thing of going through the closet, the safes, going through Melania's stuff, all this ridiculous things. I would like more information on this nuclear stuff with what's going on, because look, even if it was like nuclear codes or something, that those aren't even effective anymore, right? They rechange those, they exchange those out when an incoming president's coming in. You know, we need more information with what's going on. The whole thing of it still is Trump was cooperating and him saying, look, if they wanted the documents, just take them. what the hell is he going to do with them? Do you know what I mean? The Democrat Party be like, oh, well, he's going to do something crazy. He's going to sell them to China or his friend Kim Jong-un. Bunch of idiots. Bunch of knuckleheads. Speaking of a bunch of knuckleheads and doing knucklehead things, a school board, folks, in North Dakota has stopped saying the Pledge of Allegiance before meetings, claiming that the mention of the word God runs contrary to the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then people can't fathom why there is a massive tear in our social fabric, on why there's a massive divide in this country. And personally, as a teacher, this honest to God does not surprise me whatsoever, both in public and private school systems, of which both I've worked in. Students don't stand up for the flag generally in the public school system. They'll have their hands in their pockets. They don't put it over their heart anymore. They can care less. And why do they do this? Oh, upon me asking them, because they believe America is institutionally racist, that they held people down. So you'll specifically see mostly minorities not standing for the flag anymore. We're talking about black people. We're talking about some Asian people, Hispanics. Usually it was black people and Hispanics that tended to not stand for the American flag when I was a teacher in the public school system. So that's what's happening now. And this is what the destruction is from the Democrat Party and the progressive left, who are teaching these kids that America is racist. And we call this CRT, critical race theory. Very good, folks that are avid listeners of the Bald Brad Show, amongst other Republican news outlets. They've been inculcating these into these children since kindergarten. So when they get to high school at my level, seniors, they don't want to stand for it. Hands in pocket, don't give a two, don't say it out loud, don't do anything. Not surprising this is taking place. On Tuesday night, the Fargo, North Dakota School Board voted 7-2, not even close, to ditch the pledge after board members complained that capitalized God was non-inclusionary. The school board was previously reciting the pledge after it passed a motion on March 22nd to start each meeting with it. So now the meetings just aren't even going to have it either. Given the word God in the text of the Pledge of Allegiance is capitalized, board member Seth Holden said the text is clearly referring to Judeo-Christian God, and therefore it does not include any other faiths such as Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, all of which are practiced by our staff and students at FPS. Really? Literally because the word God is in there, you're not going to stand and support the Pledge of Allegiance, of which you're benefiting from the greatest country that humankind has ever existed. You can't at least stand for the flag of which those that died for this country to allow you to have those freedoms, of which are the right to bear arms and the freedom of speech, which the vast majority of the globe doesn't have. So you're just going to benefit from all those creeds, the pledge, the allegiance itself, the Declaration of Independence, United States Constitution. You can't stand for that because the word God's in there. That's why we wear the hat, folks. We represent our military. We represent the greatest country that God has ever created. God has ever created. Judeo-Christian values created. It wasn't all those other values. It wasn't Islam. It wasn't Hinduism. It wasn't Buddhism that underskirted the values that this country's foundation was built on. It was Judeo-Christian values, folks. I'm not saying that any of those other values that come from Islam, Hinduism, or Buddhism are inherently bad. That is not what we're saying here. But what we are saying is that Judeo-Christian values did build the foundation and the greatest country on earth that God has ever created. And we're using the word God very specifically because it's in the Pledge of Allegiance. And that's why we say it. That's why we support it. That's why we uphold it. That's why we say it all the time in the school system before meetings. But now the progressive left don't even want to do that anymore. Now they're going to take it. You have North Dakota doing this. Who's next? Holden claimed that it violated the aforementioned DEI principles. School board president Tracy Newman suggested instead of the board find a different pledge to recite to foster unity. What are they going to do? The freaking Black Lives Matter pledge that we've heard about? I'm just not sure that reciting the Pledge of Allegiance is a useful way to begin every one of our board meetings. That's because you don't value this country. Let's be honest. That's why you wouldn't want to do it, because you don't value the country. There's a reason why we do the national anthem before every sporting event. But again, the Democrats and progressive left want to do away with it. I would much prefer that we open our meetings with a shared statement of purpose that would bring us all together to do the work of the board. What's that shared purpose, mind you? Well, the board's website states this: education is better where schools are composed of students, teachers, and families drawn from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, cultures, races, ethnicities, religions, and sexual orientations. What is that sexual orientation? Is that the trans LGBTQ plus stuff that a lot of people don't agree with, that you're going to push in our school systems on kindergartens through third grade specifically, and try to indoctrinate them and help them transition, cut off their penis, cut off their boobs, help them with hormone enhancers, puberty blockers, help them transition, putting freaking Planned Parenthood clinics on school campuses? I have never seen such a wild destruction of our education system in my life. Things have gone so downhill, it's ridiculous. To the extent board member and immigrant Naimal Dai, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, forgive me, stated, "We live in a diverse community, and that is what matters." While supporting the move to end saying the pledge, one community member, David Paulson, spoke at the meeting in favor of keeping the pledge. "We are misinterpreting the Pledge of Allegiance," Paulson explained. "The pledge isn't a shown of our patriotism. It's an affirmation of our commitment and our loyalty to the greater cause, and the greater cause is freedom." The Declaration, okay, folks? The Constitution, the creed, the founding, what this country was built upon, but they don't get it. They don't even believe in that creed. They don't even believe in that foundation. They don't believe in that freedom. They don't believe in freedom of speech. They don't believe in the Second Amendment. The House literally just passed to limit your regulation, your approval of certain semi-automatic firearms. Those are the same people that are raising their hand. "I'll uphold the Constitution. I'll do whatever." And they don't do it. In reaction to the story, Ethel Herschel, a candidate for North Dakota state legislature, goodness gracious, sound like Joe Biden and a little bit of Merrick Garland, tweeted, "Disgusting. The Fargo School Board's decision is an insult to the values of our great country and to everyone who has given their life to defend our liberties." Man, that sounds a lot like what I just said a few minutes ago, does it not, folks? The school board's assertion that the Pledge of Allegiance violates their so-called diversity rule is absurd. I mean, it is. Absurd's not even a good word for it. It is freaking baffling. It's head spinning, and it's this whole diversity thing that's going to split this country in half to where we're not going to get along at all anymore. Lastly, this is one that I covered in the news show the other day that the freaking recorder didn't record. We have Biden here doing another gaffe, and I want to talk about it because it just shows once again the cognitive decline from this president. It just shows once again this guy doesn't have a clue. And you know what's funny is when I go over the gaffe itself, this was literally echoed almost verbatim by Karine Jean-Pierre on Twitter. It's freaking baffling. I mean, she truly is the mouthpiece of Joe Biden. She fumbles through her words. She says, 25 times in 59 seconds. If you haven't seen that short that we did, folks, go check it out. It's baffling. We did a counter and just watched her straight clip, no edits, 59 seconds, saying 25's us. By the way, on a short, you can only upload a minute. The video clip keeps going on. There's more us in there. And it's repetitive. Like every 4 seconds, there's an It's crazy. She can't talk just like her own boss. President Biden tried to claim Wednesday that the U.S. had zero inflation in July hours after Federal Consumer Price Index showed annual inflation dipping only slightly to 8.5%. If you recall, it was 9.1%. Now it's 8.5%. It's declined a little bit, but he stated zero inflation. Guy's an idiot, folks, which outraged Republicans and other critics who pointed out it's still near a 4-decade high. The latest figures reflected a demand-driven decline in fuel prices, including gasoline, which hit a record national average of $5 per gallon and in mid-June before sliding to a still high average for today. Basically, what happened was fuel prices dropped, even though you had basically everything else go up in price, everything freaking under the sun. It kind of offsetted itself, and so that's where he's getting this zero inflation idea from. So even though you're literally virtually paying more for every consumer good and service out there other than fuel prices, you still have inflation, folks, and he's going to sit there and pander and push all this stuff that there is zero inflation. This is the gaslighting that goes on from this administration, which I know us here at the Bald Brad Show, the avid viewer, the true American patriots are all aware of. I just want to say a number 0. Biden said in the White House East Room before signing legislation granting greater medical and disability benefits to veterans suffering illnesses linked to inhaling toxic smoke. The same legislation that threw in like billions of dollars of stuff that never even went to our military, never went to the medical and disability benefits of our veterans. But Democrats are going to sit there and do a victory lap here, even though they just basically threw like over $300 billion out the window. I'm all for giving our vets $400 billion, whoever the damn thing they need. The hat's there, folks. We just got done talking about Pledge of Allegiance. We talked about supporting this country, supporting those that sacrificed for this country. We want to help them, but that's not the way to do it. Throwing all this pork, throwing all the stuff that the Democrats do, it's disgusting. It's something that needs to be done away with, quite frankly. I've always advocated for this. Ben Shapiro's always advocated for this as well. If you want to do something in Congress, if you want to pass legislation, you need to make it plain and simple, one thing at a time. You don't throw in 1,000 things into a 7,000 page document, release it the night before, nobody reads it, everybody passes it. It's not a good way of doing things. It's a really, really bad way of doing things, and you hurt people by doing that. Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. 0%, Biden said. Here's what that means. While the price of some things went up last month, the price of other things went down by the same amount. The result, 0 inflation last month. The president of the free world. Somebody obviously wrote that for him. There's no way in hell he wrote that, but God, it sounds a lot like him. I mean, can we read that again, please? Today we received news that the economy had 0% inflation in the month of July. It's just, and then he echoes it again, 0%. Here's what that means. While the price of some things went up last month, the price of other things went down by the same amount. The result, 0 inflation last month. It's so hard that my eyes are so watery. It's actually really hard to read that. It's so baffling. It gets better. This is a real thing. I'm not misconstruing this by any means. This is what he said. But still, people are hurting. But 0% inflation last month. Oh my God. Hey, you're still getting your ass kicked, but hey, 0% inflation. So not only are you getting your ass kicked, but he's lying about it too. Biden then proceeded to accidentally step on his own message by urging Congress to pass the Senate-approved Inflation Reduction Act, which he said would keep inflation from getting better. A view advanced by Republicans, but correcting himself to say from getting worse. I mean, it's gaffe after gaffe after gaffe. This is more of a Freudian slip here by him saying that it's basically would keep inflation from getting better. Because it's true. That's exactly what it's going to do. It's not going to help inflation. It basically doesn't do anything in a nutshell. If you look at the stats and the graphs of it and the data, it virtually does 0 to inflation. It's not going to do anything. But yeah, he's going to throw an Inflation Reduction Act as the acronym, as the title. Go figure. Just gaslighting once again. Biden's rosy spin on the latest inflation report was quickly called out as a misleading by critics, especially after White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre tweeted this. We just received news that our economy had 0% inflation in July. While the price of some things went up, the price of other things like gas, clothing, and more dropped. I mean, what do you say? What do you say? We've all been in those arguments with those Democrats or the progressive left, and it's just like they say so many asinine things in a single sentence that you're just like, where do you start? I mean, do we have the time? Do we have the time of the like where into all those dumb things you just said do we start? The Biden administration has tortured relationships with math. This comes from a Representative Virginia Fox on Twitter. Oh my God. She comes from North Carolina. That is great. The Biden administration has tortured relationship with math. And definitions as well. If you recall, trying to redefine freaking what a recession is. Ridiculous BS from the White House, tweeted Senator Ted Cruz. There's an 8.5% inflation and basically everyone and everything everyone ever buys went up in price. This is just a cruel gaslighting from the Biden administration. Either the White House doesn't understand what inflation is or they just don't care, said Representative Kevin Hern of Oklahoma. That doesn't change the pain and hardship that Americans are enduring because of their failed policies. Failed policies domestically, foreign. The failure is everywhere in this Biden administration. It's a bogus math trick. This is just the overall 1 month index change. Overall, that means that is a big drop in fuel and oil and gas following previous massive monthly increases, swamped the huge increases everywhere else. This comes from a tweet by Jeffrey Tucker, president of the Brownstone Institute think tank. So he's just saying what I said, right? One area goes this way, the other area goes this way. It ends up evening itself out. That's basically what the Biden administration is doing. It's just a little mathematical gimmick and trip to make it seem like they're actually doing something. Check this one out. This comes from Tucker as well, the Jeffrey Tucker that we just read. He said this going on. Using the same tactic, you could also observe a 1 month 19.2% increase in electricity. But of course, we would not do that because that's dumb. The actual increase is 15.2%, which would get the calculating year over year, which is what they get by calculating it year over year, rather. John Cooper, director of media and public relations at the Conservative Heritage Foundation, tweeted, Joe Biden claims multiple times that there was 0 inflation in July. Absolutely false. Year over year inflation was 8.5%. So this is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to continue to peddle. And I'm going to leave you with a couple more things here, folks. Check this out. Because it really just exposes and it shows you how baffling and how much this administration really gaslights the American public week after week. The Bureau of Labor Statistics laid the data out in black and white, reporting the highest annual jump in food prices since the 1970s, with a 1.3% bump in at-home food costs from June to July, and a 10.9%, basically 11% food cost jump in the past year. Quote, the all items less food and energy index rose 5.9% over the last 12 months, referring to so-called core inflation. The energy index increased 32.9% for 12 months, ending July, a smaller increase than the 14.6% increase from the period ending June. The food index increased 10.9% over last year, the largest 12-month increase since the period ending May 1979. We're taking place before I was ever even alive, before I was ever freaking even thought of. So Biden administration, folks. Lastly, overall annual inflation was 9.1% in June, the highest rate since 1981. Critics blame Biden's policies, including large spending bills, while the White House has blamed an array of other factors, including COVID-19, supply chain bottlenecks, and the Russian invasion. Notice none of that includes himself for the idiotic decisions he continually makes from that podium, from the Oval Office. It's ridiculous. It's a bunch of shenanigans. But folks, that is all the news and information I have for you today. Thank you so much for always supporting the show. Watch all the videos all the way through. That is the most and best way to support the show. Hit that like button, leave us a comment down below, subscribe, share with your friends and family, do everything you possibly can to get the word out there of conservative thought and ideas and to support a conservative and this great nation that we live in. Folks, be on the lookout for Supernatural Saturday tomorrow, and I'll see you here Monday back here on The Bald Brad Show.